Intro. Life could be throwing rocks at us sometimes. The scoreboard could be reading, Life 75, you 0. We face rejections, watch our biggest plans collapse, and wonder if we have what it takes to stand up again. Through every setback, we're forced to confront who we are at our core. Are we self-pitying victims of circumstance, or do we choose to become something more? Watch till the end of the video, or you will miss out on the most crucial insights that could anchor you through life's harshest storms. Part 1. What a real man is like. I want you to depict a mental image of a guy. He is neither self-aggrandizing nor self-belittling. He doesn't exaggerate or pretend. He doesn't self-deprecate self-doubt. He doesn't self-dwarfing or self-condescending when facing against the strong, nor bullying or humiliating when facing against the weak. He always maintains his own independent judgment when facing external pressures. He has a kind of masculinity in him, which he firmly believes that he can dominate his own destiny. He knows from each pore of him that he cannot rely on anyone else. He cannot depend on his hopes on the outside world. He knows only by making himself strong can he protect himself and his beloved ones. He has eventful stories and unusual experiences. He is self-assured of his own value. Upon facing frustrations, he firmly believes, this shall too pass. It's okay to fail and lose. It is just a bump in the road. It will eventually pass. One flower's withering does not desolate the entire spring. One setback will not waste your entire life. 一花凋零，荒芜不了整个春天；一次挫折也荒废不了整个人生。Part 2. Those frustrations we had along the way. Life is so long. The gains and losses of those few places are nothing compared to the far destiny that you are heading. All those things that make you painful now, one day you will talk about it with a smile. I hope you do not feel inferior when you are rejected, not complain when frustrated, not moan when you are declined. You still firmly believe in your own value, continue to work hard, and do not give up. Many successful authors got their novels rejected for publications numerous times before success. Many entrepreneurs fail multiple times before finally making their company public. I feel tired, I feel tiny when I am lost and down. I lose my motivation for actions and leave with no passion for life at all. Here's how I usually deal with it. I indulge myself by drinking sweet drinks, watching short videos, jerking off, taking hot showers, doing sports till I exhaust myself, and have a good night of sleep. Then I'll wake up the next morning and continue on my journey. When you have depressing thoughts, don't try to push it out of your mind. It's like I tell you not to imagine a pink elephant. It will backfire and make things worse. Instead, acknowledge that you have them, embrace and accept it within you, move on with it. With time, these thoughts will naturally run its course. Do not view any failure as the end. Learn your lessons quickly, then move on. Do not dwell on the failure. Start thinking big again. Fill your mind with positive thoughts. Throughout the years, one big lesson that I learned is to have a big heart. Life is hard and harsh. You need to learn to care less about the unimportant stuff and not take things personally. For women, youth is an absolute advantage, but for men, youth is not a capital. The real capital of him is his wisdom and strategy. Whether a man can have the final word does not depend on what he's done in the past or who he was. It only depends on how much power and wealth he has now. A man who has never endured things is not a real man. A man must be able to enjoy the best and bear the worst. Don't be like those people who always complain about the outside world. I want to say that rather than having too many demands on others, it's much easier to demand yourself. In this society with flying swords and bullets, isn't it better to have a tough psychological quality yourself? Like Bruce Lee said, do not pray for an easy life, pray for the strength to endure a difficult one. Life is tough, but I'm tougher. In sum, how do you deal with the low points in life? You man the fuck up. Part 4. Handle your emotions. You need emotional stability. That's a line I used to have as my computer's desktop background. As human beings, we are constantly affected by our emotions, which lowers our rate of success. Throughout the years, I gradually learned the importance of handling your inner emotions. He who can control his emotion can control the world. A true test of a man's character is not when he's on top, but how he responds, recovers, and grows when times are hardest. As a man, don't show your emotions easily. Don't tell your difficulties or frustration whenever you get the chance. Don't nag your dissatisfaction whenever you have the opportunity. When you are lost about yourself, lower your head and do what you should do. Put in the grind and the hard work. For example, study hard, accumulate experience, and work hard. If you have a heart of glass and fear that someone will break it upon touching, then simply smash it yourself first. Destroyed yourself first so the world can't. Part 5. Tolerance. Forbear one moment, then the wind will peace and waves will calm. Take one step back, sea will broad and sky will wide. 人一是风平浪静，退一步海阔天空. Story time. Once I was driving alone on the highway in northern Mexico. Then I got pulled over by the police. The policeman showed me the speed gun in his hand, which read 120 kilometers per hour. He said I was speeding and the fastest was 100. Nonsense. All other cars are driving at the same speed as mine. I didn't see any sign on the way that said the fastest limit is 100. I thought about arguing, but I was afraid that it would anger the policeman, so I did not dare. And he kept asking me how I wanted to pay the fine, and if I didn't pay, then he'd take me to the police station. He asked for 2,000 pesos, which was equivalent to $100. He also told me kindly, if I have no pesos, then I can pay in US dollars. I speculate that there is no chance of winning by going head to head, so I decided that the best solution would be to admit defeat and softly plead to him. I pretended to be pitiful, and I intentionally made my voice shaky. I beg him to give me a warning this time. I will never do this again. I don't understand Mexico's traffic regulations. I am still a poor student. I don't have enough cash on me. I thought of all the excuses I could think of and used them all, but he told me with certainty that there was no pardon or forgiving in Mexico. The situation was in a stalemate until he asked the sentence, "How much money do you have?" I suddenly understood that this was a bribery scene. At the end, he said he'll let me go if I give him $50. I handed him $50 with shaky hands. When he drove away from me, I immediately wiped out the flattery smile on my face and changed into the coldest expression you can think of. I wasn't afraid at all, I just pretended the entire thing. My true emotions are probably angry. I'm angry at this motherfucker blackmailing me, but I tried my best to contain my dissatisfaction, drove back onto the road, and continued my journey. What I thought at the time was, a man must be able to bend and bear and bow his head when the situation is not in his favor. In this story, I am on his territory, and his power and status is way higher than mine. Denying and arguing whether I violated the traffic laws or not will very likely provoke his sense of controlling power, irritate him, and end in a much worse situation. There's this historical figure in ancient China called Yue Wang Guojian. Yue Wang Guojian. He endured all kinds of humiliations from his enemies just to stay alive, and then after he was freed, he tasted the most bitter liquid each day to remind himself of the humiliation until he finally had his revenge. Or the male gangster character in a Korean movie, Nameless Gangster, Rules of the Time. He is extremely good at interpersonal relationships and can be very flexible. Even if he has the reason, even if he has to lose all his face, even if he has to be humiliated and criticized for things he did not do, he still lowered his head and apologized. However, the guy is only enduring and bearing for the moment. He always has his long-term goal in mind, secretly controlling the overall situation, always clearly knows what his ultimate goal is, and finally becomes the winner. In contrast to those sophisticated people, there are people that always fight and strive with resolution. As long as they think they are right, they always keep their tongue hard, even when the situation is obviously not in their favor. Yet they kept being tough and not giving in, going hard to hard. In my eyes, they are just naive, headstrong, and idealistic children. Examples include, why not just bow your head for a while? The other party has already given you a step down, but you are so headstrong. Just for the sake of protecting your idealisms, you sacrificed yourself. Yeah, you felt like a hero that never gave in for 1 second, but you completely lost the game in the long term. In another movie about political revolution called I Think This Kind of Brainless Sacrifice is Absolutely Not Worth It. Yeah, you felt great in the moment, but then you will die, then it's over, no more. Nobody will even remember you. You didn't make any point by dying in vain, you only helped your enemy to get rid of yourself. If you had bowed your head at that time and played smartly your whole life, your overall impact will be much greater. If you really want to achieve your goal, you should value how much your death will provide. And the answer is always, it's better to stay alive and swallow the pain for the moment and fight the long-term battle. I remember when I was playing the video game League of Legends, a friend said one thing to me that I remember to this day. Dead people have no output. That means if you want to do damage to your opponent, you gotta be alive to do so. So don't get yourself killed so easily. Duck back when situations are hard. There's an old saying in Chinese is, 君子报仇十年不晚, for a noble man, 10 years to get your revenge is not late. Part 6, Complaining. I know it's human nature to communicate and connect, and complaining is a necessary channel for us to maintain our mental health. I know it is very difficult to control. I know you have that desire to share and being told that it's okay for you to feel the way you feel. It's not your fault, you did right, the other party is stupid. Such comforting words, but still, don't do it. It's not worth it. No whining, no complaining, no criticizing. Complaining doesn't solve any problems. Your words should be like stars in the dark nights, not like firecrackers on Chinese New Year's Eve. 你的话应该像黑夜的星星，不应该像除夕的爆竹. When a man realizes that no one in the world can understand him but himself, he matures. A real man doesn't complain. Either you strive to solve the problem, or you shut up. If you are not hoping to have the problem solved, and you are just venting your energy out and trying to get sympathy and empathy, stop that. Not only that's a very feminine trait, any man who does it is extremely unattractive, but also nobody likes to hear your complaints, not even your own mother. If you really need it, find someone outside your social circle to do this. All those people who complain about social injustice and the system, all their words can be translated and summarized into one sentence. Please give me money, woman, and social status. People dislike injustice only because they are not the beneficiary. John Burroughs said, a man can fail many times, but as long as he doesn't start to blame others, he is still not yet a loser. Facing troubles, solve it if you can solve it. That's ability. Facing troubles, bear it if you can't solve it. That's endurance. Therefore, the reason why you need to completely abstain from complaining is because it is only a manifestation of incompetence and helplessness, and only non-complaining is a manifestation of your ability and tenacity. Charlie Munger exhorted. Whenever you feel that something is destroying your life, that thing is yourself. The mentality of always considering yourself as a victim is the weapon that weakens you the most. A true wise man will not let his life fall into an endless abyss of self-pity. I once read on Jihu a perfect example of how an annoying man complains. He usually goes like, anyway, I am a loser. Anyway, I am a nerd. Anyway, you guys all look down on me. It's all the fault of the world. Give me the same chance and I won't do any worse than you, but I have no chance. It's all because I was born into this wrong circumstance. Tall, rich, and handsome guy? He just has a good father. White, rich, and beautiful girl? They must be sluts. Wealthy tycoon? He's got a black heart and made his money by doing unethical things. I am a good man. The immigrants are so uneducated and mannerless. A female of rating 4 is dreaming about celebrities? Look at yourself in the mirror first. Fuck, my love for my goddess is true and real, but she is a gold digger. I'm your true love, true love, true love. Why don't you love me back? What did I do wrong? How can you dislike me? Please, I beg you to like me back. I'll die in front of you. Okay, fine. I curse no one will ever like you all your life. When a man realizes that no one in the world can understand him except himself, he becomes mature. A man's stature is supported by his past grievances. Part 7. It's okay to be imperfect. The things you do won't be perfect, and you yourself will never be perfect. Learn to accept the imperfect you. In the modern era, One of the reasons why we often feel so anxious is because of the free flow transmission of information. We have more people to compare with. In the primitive era, we have only the rest of the people in the tribe to compare status, wealth, and beauty with. However, now, we compare ourselves with celebrities, with the most beautiful and the most wealthy people in the world. Below is an accurate description of modern youth's mentality. I am jealous of those who are better off than me, who earn more than me, who are younger and more talented than me, who look better and are more interesting than me. I imagine every day if only I were them. I wanted to be anyone but myself. Most people are eager to grow. This motivation comes from the pursuit of personal self-improvement or social expectations. However, with the development of the mobile internet, the world we perceive is no longer limited to the things around us. Too many excellent people in the world entered our vision. This clearly visible difference turns our cravings into fears of falling behind and depressions of feeling inadequate. The reason for modern anxiety is obvious. It's simply because the expectations are set too high. We've been told by our mom that we are unique when we were kids, and we were taught by our teachers we can become anything. However, when we walked into society and met more people from different circles, we soon realized that we are far from being as good as we thought we are. We are just commoners. We are just denominators. You have to know that success, in the secular sense, can only be achieved by a very small number of people. The vast majority of people are ordinary people for their entire life. People who are 2 standard deviations above the mean are already pretty amazing. Growing up is a process of gradually getting to know yourself, gradually accepting the fact that you are just an ordinary person, and gradually learning to face the gap between ideal and reality. Actually, if you carefully observe others, you'll soon find that they have their problems and concerns as well. They also have their own pains and struggles under the bright appearance. It turns out that the people I envy are also envying others, and the me I dislike is also envied by others. Like a Chinese poetry goes, when you are standing on the bridge looking at the scenery, and the people on the building are also looking at you, 边之林,端正,你站在桥上看风景,看风景的人在楼上看呢. When we are kids, our parents envy other people's kids. We envy other kids' parents. After we grow up, we envy others for having stories, yet others envy us for being innocent. When you grow up, meanwhile you accept the world, you also accept yourself. Life is too short to be wasted on worrying about all kinds of stuff. You always have the key to your own prison, and I choose to be free. I finally dared to face my imperfections, reconciled with my inner struggles, accepted myself the way I am, both good and bad. Screw my dick size, screw my sloppy shoulders. The shortcoming perfects a cocktail and a man as well. 可现成就了一款完美的酒，也成就一个完美的人。You are perfectly imperfect. Like the song 10 built by Titan, I don't want to be nobody else. Life is full of rejections, failures, and not being able to get what you want, so you have to learn to come to peace with it. The ideal man bears the accidents of life with dignity and grace, making the best of circumstances. Aristotle. All great men are bad men, because no matter what you do, there will always be people who hate and disagree with you. When life gets you down and you feel unloved and worthless, just remember you'll be dead one day. Have a great weekend. Part 8. Ugly Fines and Beauty Premiums. Life is unfair. It's never meant to be fair. In the U.S. population, about 14.5% of men are 6 feet or taller. However, among CEOs of Fortune 500 companies, that number is 58%. The average height of an American male is 175 centimeters. The average height of CEOs of Fortune 500 is 183 centimeters. Of the 45 U.S. presidents, only 6 were lower than the average height. Weak men complain that life is unfair. Strong men know it's unfair and decide to win anyway. Is this world fair? Of course it's not. How naive and inexperienced you gotta be to say that the world is fair or all efforts turn into results, such childish statements. Exhibit A. There is a Le Rosey College in Switzerland, which is the most expensive aristocratic school in the world. The students here are all children of the nobles, millionaires, sports stars, Mafia family. The only requirement to be enrolled is you have a powerful dad. Other than the family status you are born into, you also inherit the genes from your parents, which is the determinant factor of your beauty and your height. Looks, height, weight. These traits are all correlated to your income. In economics, this is called ugly fines and beauty premiums. Studies have shown that for every inch taller in height, a man's annual income would increase by $789. By this calculation, someone who is 6 feet tall earns $5,525 more annually than someone who is 5 feet, 6 inches. Over the course of a career, those numbers can really add up. Jon Stewart analyzes a large number of cases and concludes that the more handsome the male defendant of the same degree of crime, the lighter the sentence will be imposed by the court. In another study, when the defendant's facial attractiveness was higher than the victim's, the average damage compensation fee was $5,623. When the victim's facial attractiveness was higher, the compensation reached $10,051. So the answer is obvious: height and looks will affect your judgment of a person's ability, and being tall and pretty brings you huge advantages. The genetic lottery and the family lottery determine that for some people, even if they work hard all their lives, they still cannot even reach the starting point of some other people. For example, the British Princess Charlotte received benedictions from all the most powerful people in the world when she was born. Meanwhile, some other babies were left in the gutter for death right after birth. Part 9. The Just World Fallacy. Most people are convinced that the world is fundamentally just. Karma will reward the good deeds and punish the bad deeds. If not now, then eventually, it'll be fulfilled at some point in the future. In psychological terms, this is a perfect coping strategy for dealing with the slings and arrows of fate. This simplified structure gives people some sort of guidance through this chaotic world. If someone has wronged me, then the world will punish him for me. If I suffered some tragedies, then I will be rewarded in the future or after death. If I do good things, I accumulate good karma and vice versa. However, in reality, the world doesn't work like that. There is no just plan for the world. There isn't even an unjust plan. There's no plan at all. The world is fundamentally amoral. The world is not picking on you. In fact, this world doesn't care about any individuals. In this huge, intricate, and complex system, there will always be gains and losses. The world doesn't care at all whether it's fair or not. It's just the way it is. Accept that. It's not fair. It'll never be fair. It's not meant to be fair, and it's technically impossible to achieve fairness. The so-called unjust is only our subjective perception. What's unfair to you might be considered fair in other people's eyes. You think your colleague got promoted is unfair to you, but he thinks it's fair because he used his connections and helped your boss made millions. You think your crush picked the other better-looking guy is unfair to you, but in reality, it's the exact same reason you picked your crush, because she's pretty. You guys are using the same mechanisms to filter people. You can't just call a game unfair whenever you lose and call it fair whenever you win. What about as a sperm? You are already the luckiest one, because you surpassed hundreds of millions of other sperms and came to this world. You will always be worse off than someone in this world, but also you'll always be better off than someone in this world. If fairness can be quantified, do you think a person who was falsely sentenced to death or life imprisonment compared to you lost a position to a colleague whose dad is a friend of the boss? Which one do you think is more unfair? Personally, I feel neutral about this unfairness. Some people see that their peers' family have power and connections. Finding a job for them is just a matter of making a phone call. They find it very unfair to them. But wait, their parents worked hard, earned their wealth and cultivated their connections, and somehow they can't pass on their wealth to their own kids? Is it fair to them? So, my advice to you is to accept the unfairness of this world and live with it. By adapting this mentality, you'll spare yourself a lot of disappointments. Don't think you are entitled to whatever results you think your hard work deserves. Just play the hand of cards you were dealt with and try to make the most out of it. Part 10. Rather than change the world, change yourself. Most people want to change the world, but few people want to change themselves. Well, I have to remind you that changing yourself is much easier than changing the world. A king was mad that there are rocks and other sharp stuff on the ground, and it hurt his feet, so he required to pave all roads with carpets. Then his servant created a shoe for him. Wrap your feet instead of the entire road. Don't expect the world to become an easier, softer, fairer environment. Most likely, you cannot change the world. The only thing you can do is change yourself and try your best to adapt. Personally, I always think I know a lot more than others, and I think I went through a lot of hard things, and I deserve what I have today. Well, until I watched the interviews of all the successful and unsuccessful people, they all think exactly the same way. They even talk in the same tonality as me, and that's when I realized that I could be the one who's wrong, not the rest of the world. Tagore said, "We read the world wrong and say that it deceives us. It is not the world who's wrong. The world has always been the same way in its original appearance. It is you who is wrong." You have to be brutally honest with yourself. Face the reality, no matter how difficult it is. Make progress every day. Climb 1% better after 365 days. Bill Ackman.